Kit Fox, joined by GL Phoenix.
Thank you very much, Crisis. We are into the final round tonight. Of course, we are only doing 4 rounds Swiss. This time it is We Met at Bunnings versus Onyx Esports. And I've just got word from Tanner the Spanner himself. Free snags at Box Hill Bunnings after this one, ladies and gentlemen. Get on down. But no free onions because, you know, the economy's tight nowadays. But yes, GL Phoenix, we're going to get stuck into this one. We're going to start the game right away. Who do you think is going to take out this one? 2 new teams, 2 rather unknown names throughout the scene at the moment. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be a bit of an interesting one. We have a bit of a mix of players. We've seen some of these names around the scene for some time, but now we're into Sky Temple. It's one of those bigger maps. We've been seeing a lot of the bigger maps throughout the night, so we'll have to see how they end up drafting around this. We'll more than likely see something like the Dahaka or the Files they're taken away off the board right with the bans because, well, that's just been the flavor of the week, just getting rid of that pesky global presence.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, we've seen Dahaka being taken away. We've seen Falstad taken away twice out of the 3 games that we've seen so far tonight. We've just slipped below the 100, ladies and gentlemen. So if you got anybody kicking it around, not really doing much, or hell, if you think, hey, the weekend's gone, I have to wait till next weekend to get my dose of sporting action. Nah, it's Tuesday. Get into Twitch because we've got all of your esports coming at you. So yes, like we've said, Falstad off the board. So global presence is something that teams really don't want to deal with. And we can, as I say that, Dahaka goes as well.
Yeah, essentially, if you take off one of those 2 globals with the first ban, you're pretty much goading in your opponent to take away the second one because you don't want to be leaving only one of those globals on the board for your opponents to pick up and just leave yourself just in the dark with any kind of global presence. So it's not too uncommon to see those 2 banned at the same time. But now we're coming into those first bans, there's quite a lot on the board. There's a lot of those priority picks, as we've been seeing pretty much all night. The Nubarak is on the table, and he has been incredibly strong throughout the night.
Yeah, Nubarak finding a lot of value, as has Malfurion tonight. And with 23 seconds ticking away, they've only got 1 pick here due to the Onyx Esports lads. But as we've said, Captain Grumpshot calling the shots tonight for the Onyx lads. Hopefully it'll be enough to guide them to victory. But not if the We Met at Bunnings lads have anything to say about that. Now Greymane, the first pick for Onyx.
Yeah, very solid pick. He is a very consistent damage dealer and just wanted to get that very comfortable hero onto their side, but that does give over quite a lot of maneuverability in the draft over to the side of Met at Bunnings, and it is actually going to be the Malfurion and the Tyrael. The Malfurion you mentioned before is a very strong hero, and he's very flexible in the draft. You can pretty much slot him into any kind of composition, so getting him early in the draft allows you a lot of flexibility as we get later and later into this draft.
So KT now being picked up to complement that Greymane, but Malfurion and Tyrael being taken by We Met at Bunnings. So hopefully they'll be looking for the lockdown composition here for the Bunnings lads. Just take away the threat of Greymane, take away the threat of Kael'thas, and now Leoric being picked up by Onyx as well. What do you make of that pick, GL?
Yeah, well, the Leoric is reasonably strong. He's decent at wave clear and can pretty much just hold a lane quite well. And if he gets put into a solo lane, it can be quite sustainable. We'll have to see if or how the rest of the Onyx squad ends up complementing that. Probably will be wanting another tank to sit in the front line. Leoric, even though he is a warrior and can be quite beefy, he's not the best as a solo tank, so we'll more than likely be seeing something else to sit alongside that.
So Uther now being Uther being taken off the board now by the We Met at Bunnings lads. That leaves, a few options for the Onyx Esports to go for. They still need to pick themselves up a support. With no Malfurion, with no Uther, they're almost being choked into somebody like a Rhaegar, and we could possibly even see something like a Bloodlust build to complement Greymanes, who, like we've said tonight, have been favouring the physical attack speed, a lot more over the Gilnean and Cocktail lately.
Yeah, there are quite a few options they can go to when it comes to supports. There is the Rhaegar and being a little bit more aggressive with that. There's also things like the Karazim, there's the Oriel, although Oriel doesn't necessarily have the best of synergies with the rest of that lineup, but there are quite a few options that they can go with for the support. But taking that Uther away from We Met at Bunnings, it just allows them a little to not have to worry about any kind of Divine Storm or Divine Shield once we get to the level 10 mark.
So Tyrael could possibly take the Sanctification as well, just to give his team a bit more survivability to combine with that Malfurion. But the ball is in the Bunnings court at the moment. We'll see what they pick up to complement their support and their bruiser roll. And there we go, Li Ming. So big chunks of damage being handed out there by the We Met at Bunnings lads. Still got one more pick before they handball it back over to the Onyx Esports lads, who have still got options on the board. They've got their auto attack and their support still to pick, so we'll see what they decide to go for. But right now, we're talking all about Bunnings. Speaking of auto attacks, they've still got their own as well. Sky Temple, all about rushing down those points, rushing down the Shrine Guardians, and all about, just locking down various points of the map. Map control is probably the most important on Sky Temple, and we can see Lunara being picked up by Bunnings, so more chunks of damage.
Yeah, they've got a decent amount of damage on their side now with the Li Ming and the Lunara. And looking at the lineup on the other side, there's a lot of very susceptible targets when it comes to that very high damage. So we'll have to see what kind of support comes out to try and keep them sustained in these fights, because if you don't necessarily have the healing to keep up with the amount of damage that the Li Ming and Lunara can put out, you're going to just get whittled down time after time.
Karazim with the palm, maybe, now that Uth has been taken off the board. I mean, without that shield, they might need some sort of last-minute survivability. I mean, even Ancestral is good at that, with that, little bit of a delay. Massive, massive heal. It's not quite a shield, but hey, it's basically a second life if you can pull it off, GL Phoenix. Now, 15 seconds ticking down. Muradin now being locked in, so going for a skill shot stun to complement that Leoric. And now this last pick, we wait with bated breath to see what they're going to lock in. And there it is, Lucio being picked up in the supporting role.
Yeah, the Lucio we've been seeing it a little bit tonight. We've seen it 2 out of the 3 games previously, and now we'll be into his third. And it's actually going to be the Butcher to finish off that draft. I mean, that is an incredibly aggressive composition coming out from We Met at Bunnings. Only the solo tank Tyrael, it's not the most ideal of solo tanks, but it can work. He's not the most durable in just a straight up fight, but with the amount of shielding he can bring in, and with a lot of the attention more than likely going over onto that Butcher, this whole lineup coming out from Onyx could very well work if they're able to coordinate it correctly.
I don't mind the Butcher pick with the solo tank Tyrael, because what they'll be relying on there is him completing, getting tons of meat stacks and then being sort of like that second tank, that distraction in the front line that sort of makes everybody go, hey, crap, we need to deal with this guy because he's right up in our grill. So that'll be his role, but it'll be late game. So if Onyx Esports are going to win this, they need to win this very, very early on. We're not talking about like a 10-minute game, but you kind of want it to be over before it hits level 20 if Onyx are going to take this one out.
Yeah, it's a very all or nothing kind of composition. I'm not usually a fan of Butcher, but as you've mentioned, it can kind of work in this kind of setup, but we'll have to see how it goes as we get into the game.
Shout out to Alistario, number 1 Butcher ANZ at the moment. Let's see if Tanner, our man, can, live up to your expectations on this hero. It'd be interesting to see what he does go. I mean, the only role I can really see him playing is that distraction on the front line, because you've got the backline assassin, you've got Li Ming, you've got Jester on the Lunara, and I think we'll see... I don't think we'll see a Thorn build coming out from Lunara. I think we'll see a Poison build, a Leap build, just to close that gap a little bit more.
Yeah, you're pretty much just going to go with his all-in composition. You might as well just keep on speccing into more all-in abilities. That Leap can be very good in also getting out of a potential entomb later on from the Leoric, so that could be a very useful tool later on. But we see level 1. Looks like they want to play this game push, but that little wisp might just catch them out.
Yeah, I don't think... I actually think that the Bunnings lads are in the low bush, do the Onyx Esports lads, but no, there's nobody there now. Orgy in the front line, the minions, they engage. There's still 5v5 in the mid lane. We'll see if anybody picks up a kill first. Now, LG did take a bit of damage with those Li Ming orbs, dealing massive chunks of damage from Bunnings. They take the short early advantage over Onyx Esports, as now the two teams, they fall back into their lanes, and we've got ourselves a solid game underway.
Yeah, just trying to get some kind of revenge early on, but as we see on the bottom side, we've got the 3-stack coming out from Onyx Esports, just wanting to apply as much pressure onto Tanner on this Butcher, but they didn't get too much, and now it looks like they're trying to get something happening in the mid lane.
LG needs to be careful not to get picked out because the rotation did come up from the bot lane. That was Grumpshot and co coming up with that speed boost. Expect big things from our man on Lucio tonight. We'll be looking to complete those quests nice and early as we have a quick look at the talents. He has taken We Move Together as opposed to the talent at level 1. So interesting tactic there from the Grumpshot man. It is more commonly taken in the team fight scenario sort of things, especially in the competitive games, GL Phoenix. But now the towers are underway at 1.5 minutes. LG and Ace the Man just exchanging blows as the two tanks there in the mid, and we can see Painting up the top, just chunking out those orbs, throwing out the arcane missiles, and now the towers are going to go in favor of Onyx as the Gilnan cocktail goes out. Leoric does manage to connect the Drain Hope, but is taking a lot of damage from that long-range Unara, from the long-range Li Ming, and they're going to take this fight at range, Bunnings. They're going to look to chunk them down before hopefully getting Helium to land one of those entangling roots before they collapse.
Yeah, it's going to be very awkward for these fights to be played out by Bunnings because, as you mentioned, they're playing it from long range. If they step up a little bit too far, they can get taken out very quickly with this very squishy lineup. But with Audrey coming up, it looks like they want to take this fight.
Yeah, Gunnar and Cocktail did come out there. Jink needs to be careful. He does actually manage to Wraith walk away. Well done there to take a lot of damage. So the tower now going to go in favor of the Bunnings guys. They're going to wrest this one back from Onyx. Onyx do have the slight XP advantage. Still, both teams are at level 4, and that's what we like. Good, close games because we know that Heroes is one small flaw that has the potential to snowball out very, very fast. And that's what we don't like about our games, especially in esports. We love close games, AGL.
Absolutely. We like it when it's a nice, scrappy affair. But we do have, just in the end, it's just a bit of trading over the towers, and it's just going to end up kind of evening out towards the end. We do have a little bit of advantage, just pretty much from Soak in favor of Onyx Esports, but so far it's just not going too aggressive. Just be very careful with how these engages are starting out. But once we get later and later into this game, this could get really explosive.
So Tanner now in the bot lane, just exchanging blows with Fish there on the Butcher. He has actually picked up Unrelenting Pursuit, so he's reduced the cooldown on his charge by 33%. So that's very, very handy there if you want to lock down targets. But the brand is going to be something that Butcher really needs to, spec himself into if he needs to stay alive, if his role is a frontline bruiser.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they even play this. If they want to try and go for that frontline bruiser, or if they just pretty much skip team fights altogether and try and just play, just pick them off one by one as they can get those very sneaky fights and just try and drag Onyx Esports around the map.
Bunnings are just bringing the experience back a little bit. I was going to say they may hit 7 here before Onyx, but no, both these teams are pretty much going to hit it at the same time. So it's tit for tat at the moment, GL Phoenix. No teams have picked up a kill as yet. It'll be interesting to see who picks up the first blood here, because two fledgling teams into the scene at the moment, they learn things, we learn things, and it'll be interesting to see how they evolve as the season goes on. But Tanner has been caught out. There's a charge that goes out, but Grumpshot gets absolutely dunked on. Great entangling roots coming out there. The Fish on Kael'thas, not able to deal enough damage. Grumpshot falls, and first blood goes in favor of Bunnings. Great engage. Tanner nearly got caught out, but he had help come in from the mid lane.
Yeah, it took 4.5 minutes into the game, but we finally have the first blood, and it was thanks to a nice rotation, a very aggressive rotation coming out from the Bunnings boys, and they managed to pick up that first kill, and now they're in a pretty good position to get some early shots from this bottom temple. But we do have a lot of the members coming out from Onyx Esports towards this bottom side of the map.
Painling doing a lot of siege damage at range on Li Ming to the towers in the bot lane as they pick up that bottom tower. Like we said, GL Phoenix. Now, the chunks are coming out here from Painling. He's fighting them every single time. And that is really what is turning the fights in Bunnings' favor at the moment, is just the poke. Onyx need to jump on that Li Ming, just nullify the long-range engage, maybe even take her out of the fight nice and early, and then they'll have the fights in their favor.
But it looks like we're going to get a bit of a fight as Onyx is trying to get onto the temple, but LG is now just stepping forward.
Yeah, LG not giving two hoots at all, forced to queue away their Ontario. The stun comes out from Ace on the Muradin, but nobody was able to dunk on Helium, who's thrown down the entangling route, so they baited that one out. Muradin's taken a lot of damage. Ace the Man gets some healing coming in, at the hands of Grumpshot on the Lucio, has rejoined his team after being picked up the top. But if we have a look at the top lane here, Tanner is doing work on the top. He's taking the top tower, taking the top fort as well. And they've got the advantage here, and the bot lane still in favour of We Met at Bunnings, and the tower goes their way too, GL Phoenix. Now, Onyx should have realised that they had the man advantage and taken that fight, but their eyes were just glued on that bot lane.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of indecision, I think, on the side of Onyx Esports. They were trying to play that dance that We Met at Bunnings has been doing all game. They just try and skirt outside of that range, using that poke from the Leeming and this Lunara, and they're just not able to get in there. But meanwhile, on the top side, the Butcher stayed a little bit too long and gets caught out.
Finally getting taken out there. The rotation comes up from Onyx, but he did get the advantage. They do have level 10. Now they've got level 11. So well done, Onyx. With that kill, they did pick up level 10 themselves. So it's kind of a level playing field at the moment. Onyx is still not out of this one yet. The map control is in favour of We Met at Bunnings, yes. But Bunnings didn't actually get to take the Bruiser camp in the top lane, which Tanner probably should have called his team up to do after they took that bottom tower. He did just stay too long. Now it's going to go in favour of Onyx. So a bit of a missed opportunity there.
Well, I think they're just playing it reasonably safe. We did see throughout all that, while Tanner was getting taken out in the top side of the map, the keep on the bottom side did end up getting finished off by the members of We Met at Bunnings. So structurally, as you mentioned, We Met at Bunnings are quite a bit ahead. If it came to just trading temples back and forward, it would end up in favour of the Bunnings boys. So we'll have to see how Onyx Esports try and get back into this, because they've been playing it reasonably safe. They not trying to overextend to try and force their way back into the game. They're realizing that we will get those advantage or those opportunities to get back into the game as if we just play it carefully and just play it cautiously. As the Fish is stepping a little bit too far forward against this well, it's stepping forward a little bit too far just in general.
Oh, yeah. See you later. Leeming with the disintegration, and Lunara with the leap was too strong for poor old Kael'thas at zeromobility.com. Now, OG is a bit too deep here. Needs to be careful. He chases it after Ace the Man here on the Muradin. Some long-range damage coming out there. No, the minions are able to eat up that Leeming orb. Now, Butcher is still in the top lane. Tanner is going very, very solo here, and this is where Butcher can become extremely dangerous, GL Phoenix. If he is left to farm those stacks of meat, which he's doing now, look at the chunks he is dishing out to Leoric here. The hamstring goes in. Dinks is going to go down here. Great entangling roots, but Grumpshot comes in with a fantastic sound barrier. Now, Jester jumping around. The Entomb goes in from Dinks, unable to capitalize on that. Nobody has gone down yet. Gilnan Cocktail connects, as does the Arcane Orb from Here's the Pyroblast! Jester, run! It deals so much damage, he just survives. GL Phoenix. Oh my goodness, he would have been sweating as that was chasing him down.
That was so close. It looked like it would have been able to take out the Lunara, but as you mentioned throughout that fight, the perfect sound barrier coming out from Grumpshot really just kept them alive in that fight, because they were in a really bad position. A great route coming out from the Malfurion just allowed so much follow-up damage to come through, but that sound barrier just saved them perfectly, as it is going to allow them to keep the fight going, but it looks like they're not done.
Oh, see you later, Paint Me. Fantastic hamstring into the entangling roots from Helium. And Tanner, there's a charge. He's going to catch Grumpshot. Another hamstring. Lunara is just jumping like she's on a trampoline. OG picks up the kill as well. Great play from We Met at Bunnings. Onyx just left without an answer. The temple is up. They could boss here if they wanted to. GL Phoenix, the map is theirs.
Yeah, they have a lot of space to work with, taking down 3 of those members in a very extended engage, and it looks like they want to keep on getting more as the charge goes in.
Oh, another charge comes out. Disintegration from Leeming. Dinks makes it away with a sliver of health. No judgment from OG. If he had it, he would have taken him out, but Sanctification has been picked up instead. Now they are extremely deep here. We Met at Bunnings. Tanner's going to take a lot of damage. He's going to go down if he's not careful. The brand is not... Look at the healing this man is chunking out. He's absolutely nuclear here at the moment, is Tanner, and that's what we were talking about. Butcher left to farm alone. Just, it's filthy. Absolutely filthy, GL Phoenix.
That's pretty much the only word you can use for that. He was dead for all rights, but as you mentioned, he's been farming a bit. He's gotten a lot of those meat stacks, and even taking the Insatiable Blade at 7, making his healing onto those branded targets so much more. And We saw that in full effect right there, just not dying despite the very concerted efforts of Onyx Esports. And that's going to be a bit of a blow to the confidence.
Now, Onyx Esports, they managed to get a little bit of compensation back. They've taken up the siege, camped down the bot lane. The Wisp goes out, would have spotted everybody rotating up into the top line. They need to be careful here because Vision is in favor of Bunnings. Now, they're going to take up the camp of their own. So both siege minions going toe-to-toe. Now, OG in the mid lane here has managed to get caught out by Muradin, but manages to get away safely. And just as well, GeoPhoenix, he had absolutely no support. And that would have been no good if you were a Meet at Bunnings fan.
Yeah, well, the Tyrael, he can be a little bit mobile himself, so unless you can lock him down indefinitely, he is going to be reasonably safe to get out of those fights. And with the team not too far away, I think he was very confident being able to get out of that. And it looks like they want to get a bit of a gank on the bottom side as they are starting to charge their way in.
There we go. Tanner again gets the charge onto Lucio into the entangling roots as well. And see you later, Onyx Esports. This is so good from We Met at Bunnings. Obviously outraged at the vegan alternative that was offered up during the week. They are having absolutely none of it. And Onyx Esports have been absolutely team-wiped. Well played here from We Met at Bunnings. They do not need the boss at all. They are charging in. They've got themselves a 3-level advantage. And like you said, that insatiable blade just deals so much damage, deals so much healing back to Tanner as well. And I'm really liking the Butcher pick here. Now he's at max stacks, not going to lose any more meat when he dies. This is pretty much GG's.
It's going to be incredibly hard for Onyx Esports to come back into this one. It's not impossible because, as we've been seeing, they are a reasonably squishy lineup. But if they are able to stick around, if they're able to get that that healing on the Butcher going, he can just stick around so very long. But if you can lock them down, they can kind of go down just as quickly. So we'll have to see if they're able to. If Onyx are able to get some of those fights. We saw the Pyro come out in that last fight, but was completely denied by that sanctification coming out of OG. So we'll have to see if that sanctification is going to be the big thing coming into this next fight. It looks like they want to try and contest this camp.
They're trying to contest, and it's actually going to be picked up here by the B-Men at Bunnings. Fantastic Q coming out from OG on material, and now the fight's going down. Pyroblast goes in, or does it? No, it hasn't actually found anyone. Fish has been completely body blocked here. He's going nowhere. He falls, as does Muradin. Grumpshot's going to follow suit. Yes, he does. The Entomb comes out from Binks completely whiffed off. They did manage to pick up Li Ming there, who was getting a little bit greedy. The Lamb to the Slaughter does come out on Paint Me, but Tanner didn't have the charge up, so a little bit unfortunate there. Even with the talent he did pick up at level 4, Unrelenting Pursuit, it wasn't going to be enough. But alas, they're going to take this top tower, GeoPhoenix. They've taken the bottom one as well, and now it's going to be a Stalingrad-style pincer approach from the bot and the top lane.
Yeah, it looks like they want to go in. They get the charge down onto the Greyman. He is so dead. This could be able to spell out the end right now.
So dead, like more than 6 feet under dead, like all the way to China dead. Ace the Man now forced to Dwarf Toss all the way back in. Fantastic roots coming out there from Helium. Oh, well, I'm starting to think MVP nomination, GeoPhoenix, and I'm torn between Tanner and Helium. Those two are just synergizing to perfection. Tanner gets the micro stun. Helium with the entangling roots. They are just switched on. And at 18-15 in terms of levels, 2 temples are available here, GeoPhoenix. It is looking very, very good for We Met at Bunnings.
Yeah, they're in an incredible position right now. They can use these temples to finish off that keep in the middle lane. Just apply so much more pressure, and there's really not much that Onyx can do at this point. They are probably going to try and get some kind of fight going as they see both temples being taken, but the Leoric is taken so very low, taking so much damage.
Oh, Grumpshot forced to blow the sound barrier as Tanner goes in and just heals himself. Tell you what, Helium has got a very easy job tonight. He doesn't need to worry about that at all. He's only got 3 other people to deal with. And look at this long-range charge! Comes in! Dinks! Gets sent all the way for a home run! Lamb to the Slaughter comes in now and catches out Grumpshot. Jester with the leap on Lunara. This is a masterclass coming out here from We Met at Bunnings with some unorthodox selections, but man, they are making it work. This is going to be GG as they bash down the core.
Yeah, very well done from We Met at Bunnings. It was a very aggressive composition, and that is exactly how they played it out, not giving Onyx Esports a chance to breathe. It was a little bit slow at the start, not much happening up until around the level 7 mark, and then, as I said, it just exploded. They just were charging in left, right, and center, just blowing people up, and there really wasn't much that Onyx could do at that point.
Just have a look at this scoreboard for a second. Have a look at Tanner. 101 siege damage, experience contribution, 5,000 more than the second best. That is what happens when you leave Butcher to farm, ladies and gentlemen. They could have taken team fights down the bottom, and Bunnings, they just took advantage of Onyx Esports and their lack of synergy as a team. I mean, they're only going to get better as time goes on, and they'll learn. As will everybody involved in this competition. But Tanner, he punished the Onyx guys for just leaving him alone for half the game.
Oh, absolutely. He was given a little bit too much space. And even at level 1, we saw there was a 3-man attempt to just push in that Butcher. But as soon as they pushed in the wave, they just left and just gave up a lot of space over to that Butcher. They did manage to get a nice pick on him reasonably early when he overextended on the top side, but they didn't consistently try and apply pressure to that Butcher. And when we got later and later, we saw in those fights, he was just a menace. He was sustaining so much in those fights. And you need to be aware of how you're playing around that Butcher in these fights. If you're sticking around with that brand on you, you're just giving him so much free healing.
Yeah, especially when you take the talent at level 7, the Insatiable Blade as well. It increases, I think it's 75% as well. So that's 175% healing. It's absolutely ridiculous. So for MVP nominations, GLP, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Helium on the Malfurion and another honorable mention to our man Grumpshot on the Lucio on Onyx Esports. He did have some very, very nice sound barriers coming in towards the end there, but I'm going to give my MVP nomination to Tanner. How about yourself?
As much as I hate giving any kind of credit to a Butcher because I just absolutely hate the hero, I will have to give it to Tanner on that Butcher. He was just an absolute menace throughout that entire game. But God, it just hurts me to say that.
Well, it's 2017 GL Phoenix. We don't discriminate, but the heroes they choose to identify as. So well done to Tanner for picking himself up the MVP nomination. And congratulations to all the victors tonight, all the MVP nominees. And congratulations to whoever's going to win this raffle that we're going to draw as well. So for the last time tonight, I'm going to pass you back over to the faithful hands of Crisis.
Thank you very much, Kit Fox and GL Phoenix, for a fantastic final game on stream tonight. Now, there is still a question mark over whether that is really the final game of the night, because we have to make sure that the top 8 have no ties beyond the top 8. So if we've got a tie, for example, between 8th and 9th, we're going to have to play another round. Just those teams, though, will play the additional round. So I'll ask the admins just to have a look at the rankings as they stand at the moment. We're still waiting for a couple of results to come in, so it's not all done and dusted. I had a quick glance just before the game ended, and we're looking like we are in the clear. Of course, as per the rules that we specified, the tiebreakers that we apply tonight are simply the tiebreakers that Challenge applies. So the order that you see the teams in the standings on the brackets on Challenge, that is the order that we're going to with the top 8 tonight. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's have a quick recap of how the evening has gone here on stream. We started off with Game 1 with the E-Grills going up against Capital, and the E-Grills picking up the first game of the season, their first win as well, and they'll be very pleased with that. In Game number 2, we had the Alaskan Pipeline getting cut to pieces by No Worries, who romped to victory on the back of an MVP play from Jezmez. In Game number 3, we had... well, they looked like the two top teams for most of the season, Season 2. At the end, Morton's List dropping off a little bit and getting themselves a 3rd place right at the end there. But Nomia versus Morton's List was surely our biggest game of the night. Nomia very, very comfortable once again picking that up. And the MVP going to Arcana. Not just for his decision to pursue the esports dream, but also for his fantastic play on the Lucio. And our final game that you've just seen on stream, Onyx Esports going up against We Met at Bunnings, and the boys with the vegan snags were the ones who came out on top there. Thanks to the Butcher himself, who, well, he just dominated the field all day long. Well, those are our 4 victors. We have but a few things to deal with, and the first thing to do is the raffle draw. So we've had 37 entries tonight. I'm going to close the raffle now, and I'm going to hit the draw the winner, and it is none other than Toxic Fish, who is asking for the raffle to be opened earlier on. So congratulations, Toxic Fish. What you need to do is jump onto Discord and hit me up. I'm GameStar Crisis on our Discord. And if somebody wants to just put exclamation point Discord into the chat, that'll give him the link to come through. So congratulations to Toxic Fish. I know he's there because he just chatted. He said something in chat earlier on. But there you go. Congratulations, says KitFox. Now let's head on over very quickly to the bracket and see what the situation is. KitFox, it's been a good evening though.
It's been a fantastic evening, Chris. As you've said, we are still waiting for a couple of results. Nay, we're waiting for, well, we were waiting for one result, but we're just waiting for a confirmation from No Worries and Ethereal now. So once they click confirm on challenge, we'll hit refresh and we'll be able to have a look at the, it looks like, Chris, I think we may actually have ourselves a tie for 8th and 9th and 10th. And, oh my goodness. We're going to have to get back to everybody on this one, I think.
All right, well, let's just have a very quick look at that because we'll announce it on stream just so everybody knows exactly what's going on. We don't want anybody to be holding on unnecessarily. Let me just do a quick refresh here so that I've got my standings all filled in as we head on in. And if we look at 9th and 10th, no, we don't have. We've got a tie for 7th and 8th, and we've got a tie for 9th and 10th. So
okay, we're off the hook.
So just to explain, ladies and gentlemen, on the standings table, which you can access by opening up the bracket, we've got a number of teams that are on 2 wins and 2 losses. But if you look on over at the Buchholz tiebreaker, which is tiebreaker number 3, you'll see that there is a distinction that's been made there. So we don't have to play through a tiebreaker round. So our top 8 for the night, ladies and gentlemen, and going through to the playoffs this Thursday will be Nomia, No Worries, Trump Sports, Morton's List, Sweet Dreams, Ethereal, Scripts and Scrubs, Ape Escape, and rounding out the top 8 is Milkshake. So those are your top 8. We'll do some announcements on Twitter as well to just confirm those results. But congratulations to those 8 teams. You'll go through to the playoff round. You pick up a bonus point for finishing in the top 8. So congratulations to that. That gets added to your match points that you've earned tonight, and now you've got a couple of nights, one night really, to prepare for your first round of playoffs. Best of 3 matches between the top 8. Congratulations to all those teams. And I just want to say, give a shout out to everybody that's joined us in the Twitch chat tonight. I know that we haven't been able to pay as much attention as we would have liked to, and you know, we had a couple of missteps with the bot going to sleep. But it's been fantastic having you in here with us for the first night of season 3. Blizzard ANZ Heroes of the Storm qualifiers. It's going to be a fantastic season. I'm really looking forward to it. A huge shout out as well, and thank you to all of our casting and production team tonight. KitFox did a great job in his first run out as a play-by-play caster for Heroes of the Storm. Of course, he's got 10 years of experience in other games, but this was his first hot play-by-play cast, so well done to KitFox, and thank you for that. And to our 2 analysts tonight who provided that added knowledge that we needed, Disconquer and GL Phoenix, fantastic having you guys in. And a shout out, of course, to Vexium, who was managing things and doing the admin work in the background. A great job once again, and making sure that the night went as smoothly as it possibly could. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this evening's broadcast. Thank you once again for joining us. Come back on Thursday at the same time, 8 p.m. AEST, and we'll be bringing you the first of the playoff rounds of the Blizzard ANZ Heroes of the Storm Season 3 qualifiers, brought to you by GameStar TV.